All the stars in the field of sports are with Ajay sir. So it's so many stars with him.
Good morning, everybody, and good morning to the dignitaries in the dais. It's a special honor to share the dais with all my colleagues and people like Nanda and Sir. Because we seldom come and interact with all people. We always are in the hospital or working or operating or with the patients. But we very few times we get the time to at least interact with people different from our field, or at least people who are totally involved, dedicated to sports. Now my practice, I take care of most of the Army Athletic Center in the EME Center. I take care of a lot of cricket people. I take care of the Telugu Titans and all. So I'm very much in touch with sports, and the most important or the most important thing in sports or for an athlete, what I feel is the mentoring or the coaching. Right coaching can take you anywhere. So you have good examples. We have the tennis stars, we have badminton stars. They have the right coaching and they have reached to levels which we all know that there's nobody there, the international levels. So there is the importance of coaching, the importance of tutors, we cannot undermine. They are the most important, after our parents, the most important people to shape our career and to make us a successful person. So I think Tutors Pride is a very good initiative, and definitely it is something like a visionary initiative, and it is going to be a great success and help to everyone who's looking for a tutor, who's looking for a mentor, or who's looking for a coach, fitness expert. So I think I give my best of luck to them, and I am very thankful they've invited me to speak and interact with you people. Thanks a lot.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Kishore, for the kind words. I try to do justice to it. It exists. We all know that there are many athletes, there are many sports persons, due to many reasons, they end up doing dope. So how many of you think that athletes do take dope or do some injections, or do you know any drugs which some athlete is taking? Any one of you? I want it to be a little bit more interaction. I've given a small survey. I've given some student paper. So it's a small survey. I'm more into academics also. So that will tell me about, there's a new monster in sports, in elite athlete, that is called gene doping. I will tell you briefly about gene doping also at the end of the session. We are stronger. So every athlete, if I'm an athlete, I want to be the fastest. I want to be the highest, that is in terms of records. I want to be the strongest. So if I have to lift if I'm a power lifter, I want to be the strongest. If I'm a athlete, I want to run faster. So this logo probably should have one more word that is called as safest. It should also include safest, because we end up, or the athletes end up somewhere compromising on safety when they are trying to achieve faster, higher and stronger goals. So they should also include safety in this logo. So doping, we all know, what does it mean? In simple terms, doping is nothing but cheating. You're trying to cheat yourself, and you're trying to cheat your fellow sports person, you're trying to cheat the spirit of sports. So that is what it means. In simple terms, it means cheating, which is not good. According to WADA is the regulatory authority which takes care of doping in all sports persons around the world. So any substance, there are three criteria: which enhance the performance of a sports person, or which is harmful to the safety of the sports person, or which violates the spirit of sports. Like I said, spirit of sport is the essence of Olympism, where the pursuit of human excellence is achieved through dedicated efforts of sports person and their natural talents. So that's the spirit. That spirit should not be spoiled. That is a criteria. So any two criteria, if it is met, it amounts to doping. So in simple terms, this is what it means. When you break up the definition of doping, there are so many things. Not only presence of a prohibited substance, that means they are not supposed to take some substance, they have used it. If it is present in their blood sample or if it is present in their urine sample, that amounts to doping. There are other things also. Failure to give information, failure to run away from a test, or you hide somewhere and you're not reported, that also amounts to doping. There's so many things. You have trafficking of a prohibited substance, to name a few. These all amount to doping in the definition. So you must be aware of what it is. You must be aware that most of the athletes at some point of their journey, they would have, because of many reasons, probably tried or thought of trying some form of injection or performance enhancing drugs or some form of treatment which probably is not safe for them. So you must all be aware of this. Next, please. So like I said, it's against the sporting ethics. It's against the fair play of the game. So doping should always be condemned, should always be not encouraged. At least whoever athletes you are in contact with, you must make sure that they don't do what is called doping. There are natural methods. There are methods of training. There are methods of improving performance which are totally safe for the athlete and for everybody. Next, please. Now the most sports which are most involved in doping, cycling, we all know that cycling is probably the deadliest if you think of doping. Then you have power lifters, you have weight lifters, bodybuilders. They also, many of them undergo or take doping. So weightlifting, cycling, boxing, hockey, and horse, wherever the horse is involved, you have the equestrian sports. They give it to the horses. So this also is very commonly seen doping. Probably the cleanest is badminton, shooting, rowing, tennis, and pentathlon. So these are the cleanest sports. But there is no sports which is away from doping. Almost every sport there has been reported some incidents, or at least some person would have doped, some form of dope. Next, please. Now, so Armstrong was in limelight when he was discovered to have gene dope, that is EPO. He has used something to enhance his blood. He is a cyclist. So all his probably seven Tour de France wins, all his medals were taken away from him. He's admitted all by himself that he has doped. So there are many examples. There are people who dope, they have died because of the complications of the doping material or the substance. It's not safe, definitely not safe. So you have many examples all over the world who have been found or caught with dope substances or in their blood or urine. We all know they would have all these cricketers, football players, cyclists. Why would somebody want dope? Many social, many physiological. Like if I am weak, I want more strength. The Olympic logo I told you, faster, higher, stronger. So this is what it is. I want to be the best. I want to be picked up by the selection committee. So I want to perform more better. So I want to increase my oxygen stamina, increase my oxygen transport, increase my stamina, endurance. I would dope. I want to increase my muscle strength. I would dope. So if I want to reduce my chances of injury, which is relative term because doping actually increases injury. Social, I want to win at all costs. I want to perform. Social, economic reasons are there, financial reasons are there, because we all know once you are a star or once you win some medal, you're on TV, there are marketing people, there's so many ads you will get, so much money flows in. So that's the reason everybody wants to perform better, everybody wants to win, everybody wants that money, financial reasons. So all these things can be the reason or behind doping or making a person go through this dope. So like I said, why they should not dope? Like first one is against the principles or ethics of sports. It is also banned
by the WADA. It's banned, that is, it's illegal. You're not supposed to take dope. Next, you are supposed to have a moral high ground. So if I'm a sports person, people look at me as a role model. So why the ad companies come to a sports person? Because as a sports person, he has achieved something. So there is some credibility attached to that sports person. So they try to sell their product through that sports person. So if a sports person is found to have doped, the morality, the ethics is taken away from him, and then that is what is not good as a sports person. You are supposed to have a good moral or an ethical background. So it will give a bad image to the people who are following you. So that is one reason it should not be doped. So fear, you have more expectations, people are more expecting from you, your family, their family. I have seen 12-year-old boy, tennis player, father and mother are putting so much pressure. He's been playing from maybe when he was 4 or 5 years old. He's already started to have injuries, shoulder injuries, knee injuries, patella injuries. He's already having injuries. They continue to put pressure on him. They continue. The only thing they ask me is, when can he play? When can he play? Even when he is having so much of pain. So there's so much of expectation and pressure from the family, from the coach. Sometimes we also, if you take some coaches, they can also put a lot of pressure. So that if you understand the mentality of the sports person, probably you can put a positive energy into him rather than pressure. So they have targets, money. Some people financial gain. They are under so much pressure. They want money, or they have lost money. They don't have money. Especially, I've seen so many people from the army. They continue playing, or they continue to do it for probably money's sake. So fear of failure is also a cause. There are many drugs. If you divide the drugs, there are some drugs which increase the performance. That is stamina. Stamina means they will be able to run faster, longer. That is called as the endurance. So what we call as recombinant EPO, erythropoietin, that is a substance which increases the blood cells. The blood cells are important for oxygen transport. Oxygen transport will give you the oxygen when you are running. So it improves the stamina, if you want to know the common term, stamina or endurance. But if you take EPO, there are risks which can cause blood clots, because the blood becomes very thick. More the RBC, the thicker is the blood. The thicker is the blood, it can clot in the heart, it can clot in the brain, it can clot in the legs, which is not good, which is dangerous. Many times it can cause stroke, it can cause heart attacks, and people can die also. So it's not, there is a cyclist who has died because of EPO, I have shown. Next, transfusion. Some people take blood transfusions to improve stamina. Suppose my hemoglobin is low, I can't wait, I'll take somebody else's blood. That is also doping. But my stamina will improve. That is what they think. So these are all things. Some people want to lose weight and train harder. So there are substances called diuretics. So they remove the fluid from the body through the urine. That causes dehydration, side effects is dehydration, muscle cramps. They won't be able to perform better because of the electrolyte imbalance. They will end up having kidney stones. So many complications of what we call performance enhancing drugs. Next please. Now, people involved in weight training, they end up increasing the muscle mass. We have so many varieties available over the counter. You go to any shop, you ask for there's a mega mass or some, there's supposed to be some creatine phosphate, but they all end up having steroids. Most of them have steroids, unless specified. They usually don't write it. This is done. The athlete is informed prior to doing the test. The test is done in front of the doping officer or the chaperone, anybody. It may not be a doctor, it can be anybody who is trained to do it, sample collection. So he will go with the athlete, he will go to the bathroom, and in front of him he is supposed to give the sample. So the chaperone or the person who is taking the sample has to watch the whole procedure when the sample is being collected. The sample usually is taken in two boxes, that is sample A and sample B.
Sample A is for, like, suppose somebody is tested positive, then sample B will be tested after informing the athlete and or the representative of the athlete in front of him. So you usually take 2 samples. Next, please. So this is the method. So the person in charge of collecting the sample will go with the athlete in front of him. He should watch how is it done. There should not be manipulations. He should be in clear view how the sample is done. Then the doping officer is not supposed to take it and cap it himself. It should be done by the athlete only. So the athlete only, both the samples he will cap it and then hand it over to the Olympic doping officer. Okay, doping officer. Next. So the doping officer next labels it, signs the form as a witness, and then sends it to the laboratory where it is tested. So urine and blood, 2 things we usually test. The new monster is gene doping. So normally gene doping is the non-therapeutic. That is, non-therapeutic means it should not be included as a treatment. In those situations when it is used, use of genes or genetic elements or cells that has the capacity to enhance performance or athletic ability. That is what is called gene doping. Next, please. In simple terms, you can see the picture. This is the picture of the mouse. You have one upper one without the gene dope, the lower one with the gene dope. So there is something called as a myostatin. That gene, if you alter, the muscles become like this. So that has so much of potential. You can imagine what all can you do. You can create a Hulk if you want to, but not for sports. So gene doping is something similar to. It all started with the Human Genome Project. So they were able to see the DNA structure. Then they started thinking. They started using in gene therapy. Suppose I have a disease because of a defective gene. They will put a corrected gene into my DNA that will produce the normal function. So my disease is cured. So the good guys started thinking like that. And then the bad guys started thinking, oh, I can use it in sports to improve performance of athletes or to my performance. So they also started thinking, I can improve my muscle mass, I can improve my RBCs, I can improve my performance, endurance. So both the good and bad started thinking after the genome project. So the WADA is aware of this. They feel that it's already being in use, especially in the Beijing Olympics, but nothing is proven. But in future, definitely it will be used. So there are guidelines being formed. They have been doing workshops to educate people. That's why I've included a point on gene doping. Next. It's very hard to detect. It is probably the best way to dope. If I am an athlete, I will dope with gene doping because I cannot be caught. It is totally, you cannot detect it. If some product is formed, it is as natural as a normal product. You cannot detect it in blood, you cannot detect it in urine. So it is impossible to detect at the moment with the present technology. So this is what is called as the gold standard of doping, gene doping. So nobody knows whether somebody is already doing or not. Next. So how is it done? Like I told you, it is for some people want the power, some people want endurance. They modify the gene. Some people want more oxygen uptake. We'll not go into those details. So there are 2 ways to do it. Some use it directly injection. Some use a gene gun. Some use what we call as the virus or a bacteriophage. So there are different ways to do it. In vivo and ex vivo. That means they do it in the lab. They take some defective gene, modify it and put it again in the blood, in the body. Or that is in ex vivo. In vivo is they modify it in the body only, in the muscle. So they inject it in the muscle start responding. You get, then next please. So this is ex vivo. They take out some blood, modify it, and then put it back in the body. So this is done ex vivo, that is outside the body. One inside the body, you give injection directly of the gene. Next. Many side effects, because we don't know what the gene will do. Sometimes what will happen, you may inject it for performance, it will cause cancer. We don't know. We don't know which genes will get affected. We don't know. We want specific gene. It can have other effects also. So this is something which is very, very problematic or dangerous. Nobody knows how a particular gene injected will react to it. There was incidents when somebody needed some gene to correct the liver enzyme. So they injected the corrected gene in him. In 4 days he died. So they don't know because of anaphylaxis reaction or because of side effect. So nobody knows. They can have heart attack, cancer, they can have viral infection, harmful things, death also, cardiac arrest. So at the moment gene doping is a possibility, and gene doping is very, very dangerous. We don't know whether we'll create a Hulk, or you have the other part in Hulk movie, what is the abomination. We don't know the other one. So the bad part. Now this is my small, what I've understood is, most of the sports people, one, because of we don't have technology, or we don't have information or education, they end up being injured. So my thing is, there's a small thing, it's called sportsindia.co.in, where we have biomarker testing. That is, if I am fatigued, my blood will have some marker to tell me that my fatigue is there, because fatigue will cause injury. Is a marker for injury. So that means if I am fatigued and you ask me to play more, I will end up injured. The idea is to prevent an injury rather than treat an injury. So we are looking for markers which will tell us that you look for this, it will tell you that injury will happen. So those are biomarkers. We do it in the sports science lab. Then performance center is what we do, where we try to look at the technique, video of the technique of the person, like somebody is a runner, somebody is bowling. We look at the technique, we analyze where his technique is defective or what has caused the injury, and we try to modify it. Then injury clinic is what we do, rehab, what we treat, surgery and all. Genetic analysis is what is the latest controversial thing. There is something called as sports gene. Sports gene in the sense that there are certain genes which they have found out after DNA scan that if I have ACTN3 gene, I will be more prone for performance or power sports. There are certain genes which tells us that the person is more prone for endurance sports. So you can tell the person that you have this gene, you have more. How is it treated? The basic treatment, which is what we do, and what is the final treatment. Everything is included, all the joints, all the sports injuries. Suppose if you click this, know your sports injury, you will have cricket injuries, you will have football injuries, you will have tennis injuries, which are more common. So it's a basic guide for you to help you. You can go through it whenever you have a need. You can see this is to help you, and the idea is to prevent an injury before it happens. Be in touch with me.